Hey guys, it is time for another self-reflection video, I guess, or self-critic. If I could change anything about myself, what would it be? And immediately, the first thing that came to mind that weighed over anything else was the fact that I tend to care too much or worry too much about the result of an action prior to even taking the action. Like, for example, before I started vlogging, I was like, I can't start filming right now. My hair doesn't look right. Or I just woke up from a nap. I didn't really wake up from a nap. I was just flipping and turning because it's been one of those days when not a lot of good has happened to me. I'm trying to address it before I bring myself down. But I'm also thinking about not every day has to be exciting and perfect. It's just that I feel that I am headed in a direction where I may fall again. So just talking about anything will help me. So here I am. What I mean by stuff like this is, let me pick an example. One time I went somewhere and when I came back, I realized that I had left the door of my car open. Like it looked like it was closed, but you know how sometimes the door doesn't really click to its locking mechanism, whatever, so you have like a little gap that lets you know that the door is not closed all the way, and then your dashboard may also have a light come on that is the symbol of the car with like doors open. Well, mine had that. And I don't know if that was overnight. It must have been overnight because I have the vision of noticing that when it was still dark, so it must have been one morning. And I was already worried about it. I was like, oh my God, my car is not going to start, my car's not gonna work. And my car was working just fine, but I had to immediately keep worrying about it until the time of the day when I could go somewhere to have it looked at. And the battery, of course, turned out to be just fine. When they ran a test on it, it said that it was perfectly in good status. But I was already worrying about it. Another thing is, say at my job, anytime I try to go for a higher position, I'm always thinking the worst about it. Something that's guaranteed is I'm not going to sleep, and it happens to me when I travel too. I just can't sleep the night before a trip. And I'm already thinking about the things in the interview that's going to mess me up before even having the interview. And a lot of the times, the questions that come in the interview either weren't that difficult or it was nothing to stress over. And although I haven't gotten the position, I'm saying that I stress myself out about how I expect to perform. So I'm already saying that I am going to have my stutter problem come back. Do I look appropriate with what I'm wearing? Am I prepared? Did I do everything that I could to be prepared for this? But interestingly enough, the times that I have been rejected to climb up the ladder, I haven't been mad about it, because when I ask myself, did I really want this? I realized that I wanted a position for the wrong reasons. When I get rejected, I look at it as, I'm glad, because probably I would have been overwhelmed with my new job. I just wasn't ready yet. Period. Whatever my reasons for not being ready at the time are. I've seen it. It's like, wow, the person who ended up being elected, they come to me to tell me about how much it sucks. And I'm like, well. I feel like there is this force that I can't comprehend that keeps me out of peril as best as it can. Because there are instances in my life when I'm asking myself, how did I end up here and how did I end up so well? I can't find any logical explanation for it. So that's what I think it is. Nowadays, I just conduct my life as in I walk with God. And you guys know that I'm not religious like that. Just to name it something, that's what I'm phrase it as. What makes me think that way is during my upbringing, anything less than perfect was unacceptable, because say in school my performance was straight A's, usually in the 100%. Because I demonstrated that I have the capacity to accomplish that, then it is expected for me to consistently bring home a report card that says straight A's 100%. In my life, prior to an event that is important, significant in any way, like a test, a job interview, or even a video, I'm like, did I prepare for this? Is this really the best that I can do? Is this really my time for it? What are my weaknesses and how am I going to address them? I'm already crossing the bridge without even encountering it. And I bet that if I didn't think that way, if I didn't pressure myself in that way prior to any decision, any action, I probably would be way better than I am at this point. It really makes a difference because you're starting off with a mentality of, I'm not sure about this, or if this question comes up, I'm not going to know how to answer it, or if this emergency comes up, how do I go about it? And I just wish that at every single moment in my life, I could just go like, all right, I'm about to do something different. I'm about to go for this position. I'm about to take this test. How about if I wait until I see it and then determine if I need to worry or not? Because a lot of the times I worry over nothing. Another way of looking at this is when you need to have a difficult conversation with someone. In my mind, I'm already creating the scenario of how it's gonna go, and usually in my mind it goes worse than what it really is. But in a certain aspect of my life, it always goes wrong. It ends up going bad when in my mind there was no way that it was possible for something to go bad or wrong or down the negative path with a discussion. Maybe that is what has generated in me so much self-doubt, because I want to trust my instinct that I don't need to stress out or worry about something and that everything is going to be okay. But then it turns out that I didn't worry, and because I didn't worry, it caught me off guard, and then that's what made me feel down. Basically, I guess I would change getting anxious over things that haven't happened yet, or events that aren't even here yet for me to worry about. Like sometimes the situation at home gets a little tight and we wonder, are we going to be able to pay for everything, make ends meet? On that aspect, I learned to not worry about it since maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because somehow we ended up just fine. And then this year, after my mom's procedure, everything has worked out just fine. So I am glad that I learned to not worry a couple years ago the way I used to presently. So I wish that I could take that and apply it to everything else that I am not yet being very consistent with my attitude and my response to it and whatnot. Yeah, you guys, I just wanted to ramble about that because, like I said, I have some stuff in my mind that's making me want to feel down again. It shouldn't be easy for me to feel down given, like someone tells me, how sunny my personality is. I like to find refuge in that, in the fact that I have more good times than bad times. It's just that when the bad stuff comes and I let it take over, that's when I'm like, oh, I guess that I am not doing so well after all. So it's a weird position to be in. But what do you guys think? What did you gather from what I said? Do you relate in any way? Do you have an example of your own? Do you have perhaps any advice for me? I don't expect to really get much advice on this particularly because it's something that it's in my mind. Although it helps me to hear it from an external source telling me that everything's gonna be okay, that I'm doing everything as best as I can, that I'm doing just fine, that etc, etc. There's always going to be that little evil side of you that tells you, no, this is not the best that you can be. So yeah, you guys, anything that you can think of that you want to tell me or just share with me, I will look forward to it. Alright guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.